the machine you see in the camera view there is the Brother LX3014, and I have been using that to make masks, and it's been working out very well. I believe this machine has made about 180 masks so far without a problem, without a hitch, without a bobbin issue. But this is really about a 237. For those of you who may have listened to me about disinfecting a plastic machine and that this is the easiest to disinfect, that is true. And I'm not really recommending this, but both of my Singer 237s, my 500A, and my Singer 6212C all have a paint surface that I have been able to use Formula 409 on. It's not recommended, probably. It might wear away at the paint, but I have been able to use that on those machines. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because, as you can tell by my videos, I really prefer antique or vintage machines. And this is why. This is a piece of embroidery I did. This is actually my son when he was a baby. But this is ZigZag. And what I did was, this is a drawing I did many years ago, and I have now transferred it to tracing paper so I can do it. And I'm thinking of making a blanket out of squares with this on there. And I used the Singer Model 237 to do this. And you can see how tight that zigzag is. And I don't remember my settings. This is 2 layers of muslin. I fiddled around with both the stitch width, zigzag, and stitch length. But look at that. It's beautiful. And no buckling, nothing, no problem with this at all. So I have been heartbroken all week that I can't use my vintage machines. So here I am with the Brother, and I'm making masks, and I'm trying to hold on to some sanity. And our governor just came out and made face masks in public mandatory. So this is not going to go away. So I figure, well, I'm going to see if the Brother will do the same kind of zigzag. Now, on the Brother LX3014, setting number 5 is really the zigzag. And that is this big, heavy zigzag stitch. It's a I'm calling it a zigzag, satin stitch. That's really the satin stitch, and I'm sorry that's in white thread, but that's what I had in the machine. That right there and that right there are both the satin stitch and setting number 5. But they both pucker the fabric, and this is also 2 layers of muslin. And I only have the tension on 1.5. So obviously not the same idea as the 237. Now what I had done was, to the right of the stitch selector knob is a little recessed screw that you can turn to the left and make a tighter stitch. You don't have to do that when you're using setting number 5, but what I did was fiddle around with it a little bit, and this one, the other finger, this one right here is stitch number 2, stitch selector number 2, with the recessed screw almost all the way over to the left. So that's as close as I could get it to what the 237 was. And you can't tell the detail because of the white thread, but I can tell that they are not equal. They're close. They're very close, but not equal. So this is like a 1/16 of an inch apart, each stitch, where my thumb is, up here. And this is much closer. So if you're thinking of regular electric machine embroidery for something like that baby image, maybe for a quilt or something, I would still buy a Singer 237. And again, I have been able to clean that surface with Formula 409. But I did also reconfirm by asking on one of the email lists today that it's basically only sewing machine oil that should go on any of the antique machines. So the Brother does a good job, but not as good as the 237. And this means, this satin stitch being like that means this would have to be in a hoop. So it's a whole different machine, and again, this is why I like the quality of the old machines. When I did this, I may have had it in a hoop, but I can't remember if I have a hoop that big for under the machine. It's just a wonderful stitch. So if you're looking for a machine to be basic sewing, the Brother LX3014 will do what you want it to do. But if you're going to be doing a lot of machine embroidery and want to be able to have a good zigzag stitch, I would get a Singer 237, which was made between 1968 and 72, and can be treadled. You can get a Bishop Sewing Systems hand crank, or you can leave the original motor on it and use it motorized. But hats off to the Brother for making 180 masks.